Like, apparently these people are more cultured than I am, I would say. But the thing is, he had a great father-in-law, always there, always taking care of him. And from the very beginning, they had a give-give relationship. I do not have my notes. Training wheels are off. This is not good. This is not good. Okay. Anyway. Jethro, the priest of Midian, Moses' father-in-law, heard of all that God had done for Moses and Israel, his people. Did I just do this? What is going on here? What is going on here? Oh my God. It's getting worse. We have us a problem. We have us a serious problem here. Okay. Wayne? I should not have done this, huh? Well, here we are. Okay. We were already there. And we were there. I don't think this is working. Can we turn this off? I need to go to my notes because I messed this up. There we go. I definitely should have tried this out first. I'm very sorry about this, people. Almost there. Stay calm. Okay. Here we are. So, verse 8. Then Moses told his father-in-law that all that the Lord had done, which we covered this, didn't we? Doggone it. All that the Lord had done to Pharaoh and to the Egyptians for Israel's sake, all the hardship that had come upon them in the way, and how the Lord delivered them. And Jethro rejoiced for all the people, for all the good that the Lord had done to Israel, in that he had delivered them out of the hand of the Egyptians. Jethro said, "Blessed be the Lord, who has delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians and out of the hand of Pharaoh, and has delivered the people under the hand of the Egyptians. Now I know that the Lord is greater than all gods, because in this unfair they dealt arrogantly with the people." So Moses shares his testimony. His father-in-law gets saved. His father-in-law was a priest of demonic gods. And all of a sudden, Moses shares his story, and his father-in-law has a conversion. And of course, we have to attribute a lot of this conversion to the fact that Moses built a lot of trust with his father-in-law in the first place. Jethro, being a great man of character, taking care of family, taking care of Moses when he was a sojourner, when he was just walking around in the wild, he saw a man. He said, "Come to my house. You know what? I'll even hook you up with a wife and dinner," which is really cool because what's the point of living without dinner? So he hooks him up, sets him up, and he lives with him for 40 years. Of course, Moses gives into the relationship just as well as Jethro. But Moses here tells the story, and as he tells the story, he takes no credit for himself. He takes no credit for himself. And I'll tell you, the best way to live your life is where your relationship with God is such as you can take no credit for anything, right? Right? That's the way, that's the best way to live, because if we can't take credit, we can't mess it up, right? If God is the one that is providing for us, we can't mess it up. So he shares this story, and this great transformation happens with Jethro, which is really a big deal because he was the priest of Midian, meaning that the influence that this man had, the fact that he came to know the true God, would have been really a powerful thing. Verse 12, And Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, brought a burnt offering and sacrifices to God. And Aaron came with all the elders of Israel to eat bread with Moses' father-in-law before God. So they're celebrating. This is an attitude of celebration. You know, I know way too many people that when good things happen in somebody's life, instead of being excited for them, you sneer. You get upset because God is blessing them and doing great things, but not with Jethro, no. Instead, he sees all that God has done, and he says, whoa, I want to worship this God. And he brings a sacrifice, and they have church, and he doesn't come empty-handed. And this is just a good lesson of how we should approach church, how we should approach God, is that we should never show up empty-handed, right? You don't have to show up with money. You don't have to show up with goods. Nice if you do. But you have to show up with your heart. You have to show up and put your heart on the altar. You have to remember why we are here. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Christ. We wouldn't be gathered together if it were not for Christ, right? I'm too lazy to worship a false god. Jesus and what he has done in our lives should be enough to propel us to, when we gather, that we take it seriously in our hearts, and when we show up, we say we are going to worship the Lord with our friends, with our family. When we show up and worship, we should have this moment before church starts. You should have a personal moment where you surrender yourself to the message, to the worship, right? Surrender yourself to what God is doing in church today, right? We need to do this daily, I understand, but don't show up at church trying to see what you can get. We show up at church to worship Jesus. That's why we're here. We're not here because we want to improve our lives, right? We worship Jesus, which is the great improvement in life, isn't it? We don't need to come here to find improvement. We come here to worship our God. And I think that needs to be straight. Verse 13. The next day Moses sat to judge the people, and the people stood around Moses from morning till evening. When Moses' father-in-law saw all that he was doing for the people, he said, "What is this that you are doing for the people? Why do you sit alone, and all the people stand around you from morning till evening?" And Moses said to his father-in-law, "Because the people come to me to inquire of God. When they have a dispute, they come to me, and I decide between one person and another. And I make them know the statutes of God and his laws." Moses' father-in-law said to him, What you are doing is not good. You and the people with you will certainly wear yourselves out, for the thing is too heavy for you. You are not able to do it alone. Now obey my voice. I will give you advice, and God be with you. You shall represent the people before God and bring their case to God, and you shall warn them about the statutes and the laws and make them know the way in which they must walk and what they must do. Moreover, look for able men from all the people, men who fear God, who are trustworthy and hate a bribe, and place such men over the people as chiefs of thousands, of hundreds, of fifties, and of tens. And let them judge the people at all times. Every great matter they shall bring to you, but any small matter they shall decide themselves. So it will be easier for you, and you will bear the burden. They will bear the burdens with you. If you do this, God will direct you. You will be able to endure. And all this people also will go to their place in peace. So Moses listened to the voice of his father-in-law and did all that he had said. Moses chose able men out of all Israel and made them heads over the people, chiefs of thousands, of hundreds, of fifties, and of tens. And they judged the people at all times. Any hard cases they brought to Moses, but any small matters they decided themselves. Then Moses let his father-in-law depart and went away to his own country. That kind of reminds me of my house. So we have a rule at my house that all the big decisions are made by me, right? All the small decisions are made by my wife. We have had 0 big decisions. Which is good. No real problems, which is good, But this is really an incredible passage. Love this passage for many reasons. Jethro sees Moses is killing himself, leading 2 million people, and literally doing everything, right? I can't lead you people, right? This guy is incredible. He's literally leading 2 million people, judging every situation. And Jethro is like, you're nuts. You're going to kill yourself. You're going to burn yourself out. You have to delegate. You got to set up a governing body that helps you govern these people. What my biggest question was after I read this was, why did God not tell Moses to set up a governing body? Isn't that compelling? Why would God not say, hey, Moses, you're killing yourself here, right? You need to set it up like this. God later sets up the government of Israel and sets it up in a very similar way. So this would have been approved by God, or even something that God would have had them do. So why Jethro? Why not God? Because Moses is talking to God literally daily from what we understand. So why not? And maybe that's a dumb question, but I don't think it is. I don't think it is at all. Because the guy was really in over his head. And I think a lot of times we are completely in over our heads in life, right? We get into a bad space. And the title of this message is chaos, or order out of chaos. Because you can imagine 2 million people standing around you, wanting your attention, wanting your time. That's the definition of chaos. That's a problem. And Jethro says, we'll just bring some order into it. That way you can actually have a life. You can actually breathe. We have such a resistance to government, don't we? Basically any type of government. I know I really don't care for them. But the alternative is anarchy, right? The alternative is anarchy. Do you prefer anarchy over government? Is the question. Do you want to live in a world where literally, constantly, you have to walk around with a gun to make sure nobody takes your things? Is that a world we want to live in? See, it's not. It's not. It wasn't God's design. God's design is for order, as we see. Order is an interesting thing because we don't fully see it. Order is this. Order is the band taking vibrations and creating a song that is palatable, right? That's taking chaos and turning it into order. If I bang this wall, it's not going to sound pleasant. But if you take the correct instruments and you bring them together and harmonize, what you have is something beautiful, right? Right? That's bringing order to chaos. These beautiful girls who were dancing in the back, right? That brings order to chaos. How do you say? Simple. It's something beautiful to watch, right? I mean, otherwise, we could be sitting here looking at Barnabas, for instance. It's not going to do the same thing. But in a chaotic world, you see something beautiful that somebody has done, or somebody somebody has created, and it brings warmth, and it makes this world palatable. It makes it a home. I want to divulge a little bit on that. See, burnout does not come from busyness. Did you know that? I've been so busy I got burned out. No, that's not where burnout happens. Burnout happens when there's chaos in your life, right? When there is no order, when you have something that is completely off the rails. And our worlds are completely out of order. They're completely messed up. Your personal life, I guarantee you, we could sit down and have a conversation man to man and find out that there are areas of your life that there's chaos. Right? That there's hopelessness, that there's problems. This world we live in is full of chaos. Everywhere you look, there's problems. There's wars. There's rumors of wars. There's one problem after the next. You watch the news and it's incredibly depressing. It shouldn't be this way. It shouldn't be this way, we say. We grieve the chaos in our lives because it really shouldn't be this way. It doesn't have to be this way. And I think that us feeling that grief is really a good and powerful thing. Unfortunately, we feel the grief. But too often, there's nothing we do about it, right? There's nothing we do about it because you feel completely powerless over your problems, don't you? Imagine how Moses felt. It's like you wake up in the morning and let me go sit in this chair all day long, I'm going to hear people's problems. All day long, that's all I'm going to do, right? Can you imagine how his brain was getting absolutely fried? Absolutely fried. And this world, it fries you when you watch the news. It does. It fries you when you just look around. You just take a look around in this world and you see children suffering. You see fatherless children. You see women being abused. You see the elderly being taken advantage of, right? Mostly by mechanic shops and construction companies. Just throwing that out there. Just throwing that out there. I mean, you'll take your car there to get fixed, right? And you take it with one problem, it comes back with 7 more, right? It's like that empty house thing where the demons come and take over the car, right? And all of a sudden you have 7 more problems, and they're like, yeah, this is going to cost you. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I know nothing about cars. You're just taking advantage of me, guy. Not talking about anybody in specific at all. I mean, Bobby would never do that. Right? Yeah, of course. Of course. See how I'm being taken advantage of? It's your fault, not mine. Okay. And so what happens is that life is absolutely nuts. And what I've learned through the beautiful and ridiculously stupid sport of golf is that you have 2 options, right? When you go out and play, you are either going to be conquered or you're going to conquer. There's no other option. You're going to be destroyed or you're going to actually manhandle it, right? And I know there's problems over here. We'll work on your game later. But But you know what it's like. You're either going to conquer life or it's going to conquer you. And you say, well, I just can't get my life together. I can't seem to get my life together. But then the next person somehow masters life. Somehow gets it, puts it together. And we say, but what's wrong with me? Right? What's wrong with me? But isn't that the wrong question? Isn't that the wrong question to ask? What is wrong with me? And we personalize it right away. What is the matter with me? Why does bad things always happen to me? And of course that breeds this victim mentality of, I'm just a victim, bad things always happen to me. And really, it's not my fault that I have problems. But I don't think that that's true at all. I think that we should take responsibility. We should bring some type of order into these problems. So, there's also two different kinds of people in this world, right? There's people who absolutely contribute to chaos, right? Are you one of those people? Huh? Yes, you specifically. And then there's people who bring order to this world. Which one do you fall in? Which category? This is important. Because you're going to be one or the other. Everywhere you go, you just make a mess. Or everywhere you go, you bring hope, you bring life, you bring light. Those are your two options. Now, why do we need to be people of order? See, the first thing that comes to mind is, well, Cornell told me I'm not allowed to be a control freak, right? I'm not allowed to control my life. Bringing order into your life is the opposite of control. Control is a means to an end. Control is, I'm going to control the end game. I'm going to control the outcome. Bringing order into your life is not trying to control the outcome. It is actually just forming or just coming into agreement with worship is exactly what it is. It is coming into agreement with the harmony and the light of Christ. Because the Creator, when He created the heavens and the earth out of chaos, right? There was just a waterless void, and the Spirit hovered over the waters. And from chaos, He made this beautiful, amazing creation. And then when He made the plants and the animals, the fish, the birds, and according to Eli, fish are not animals. We had this argument. You still sticking with that one? Or is it birds that are not animals? Anyway, we should definitely get involved with that one. He creates them and He makes them in their own likeness. God creates an apple tree. Why, I don't know. Creates an apple tree and He makes it in His likeness. An apple tree, the apple falls from the tree, the seed goes in the ground, another apple tree comes up. Right? Not a pear tree, an apple tree. He makes them in their likeness, and He says He instructs them. He instructs them how to be an apple tree, how to be a fish or an animal. He instructs, makes them in their likeness, but when He comes to making us, He makes us and makes us in His likeness, right? And the first thing that God did was bring order from chaos and create, okay? That, my friends, is the only example we really get of what God is doing that we can actually mimic, that we can do and be like Him. He made us in his likeness. Therefore, he also wants us to create and bring order. Right? His desire is for you to create and to bring order. Now, God gave us a tree, not a dresser or a table. But he did give us a tree, right? He gave us the materials we need. He gave us the power that we need. He gave us everything that we need to bring order. But it is for us to take that and make what we want with it, right? He says, Jethro comes up with this idea. Why? He comes up with the idea because he's literally just being who God made him to be. Right? He's being godlike. Why is God not working on your problems? Because you've been praying and praying and praying and praying and praying, and nothing happens. You ever consider this? You keep getting yelled at to take action. Sometimes there's this lady that will say, I want you to journal about it. It sounds terrible because it is terrible, right? Yes, it is, Miriam. It's really terrible. I want you to go have quiet time. Does that sound like fun? No. She has a lot more of those. And she comes up with this crazy stuff. And what we notice is that people that actually take action find healing. What we notice is that people that don't take it very serious don't find healing. Isn't that interesting? Isn't it interesting that the people that put the work in actually get results? Isn't it interesting that people that understand, hey, God has given me what I need to fix myself. Yes, not all things in life are you going to be able to fix yourself. That's okay. But what I see is inaction, which is the worst enemy of all people. When you sit and you do nothing, and you expect God to just transcend your stubborn bullheadedness, your fear, your animosity, you expect him to transcend your problems and just miraculously heal you. When really, there's a simple solution. For instance, say you have money problems, right? You just can't get your bank account straight. Oh, Lord, please, I need more money. And God's like, no, you don't. You need a budget, right? You need to learn how to budget your money. You need to learn how to actually know where your money's going. You see, just like God didn't come to Moses and say, this is how you set up a governance. No, what he did is he waited on Moses to act, and then he blessed his actions. Right? A lot of you aren't experiencing God the way you want, and it's because of inaction. You're not doing anything. You can't do nothing and expect something to happen. Right? And again, it's not about control, but when you take action, you're giving God something to bless. Does that make sense? Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open unto you. You take action, then God can bless it. It's like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Okay, we have a problem. Let's think about the solution. See, he was leading an entire nation of people that were looking at the problem and grumbling about it, right? Jethro comes in and says, okay, here's the problem. I'm going to give you the solution. Any of you ever complain about your problems? A couple of you? Allie? Sometimes always. All right? You complain about your problems. I can never get ahead. It's always this bad. Everything's bad. I'm not lovable. I'm just a problem. It's like, yeah, no, I can't forgive this person. I can't do this. I can't do that. God says forgive and you will be forgiven. So that means you need to take action. The unforgiveness in your life is absolutely destroying you. Literally. There's probably nothing that destroys greater than unforgiveness. There's nothing that kills you more than unforgiveness in your heart. And you say, oh, it's too painful. I can't go there. I cannot go there. And God says, you forgive, and then I will forgive you. He says, you take action, and I'll support it. Right? It's like a father raising a son. I need a car. Go get a job. Right? Get a freaking job, man. Go make some money, and I'll help you out. But you just want to sit here and want me to just foot the bill. No, I'm not going to do that. Why would I do that? You're going to abuse that car. You're going to have no respect for it. You're going to waste it. You're going to trample all over it, and then you're going to ask me for another one. Right? No, you take action, I will bless it. You forgive someone, and I will absolutely heal you. You know, some of you are waiting on a miracle from God when all you have to do is take a step. The miracle's being bound and held back from you, from washing over you because you refuse to take that one step that hurts so damn much. It hurts so much you can't take that one step. Right? And some of you have taken some steps and you know that as soon as you did, God just poured his love on you. Poured his power into you. You know it. And yet there's this one thing you refuse to overcome. And then you say, okay, well, let me look at all the things that happen in my life. You're not connecting them with what the problem is. You're not connecting them with what actually went wrong. So you go back, you look at the problem, and you say, okay, here's the issue. What step can I take to bring order into my life? Right? What can I do to take charge of this situation? Because that's what bringing order is taking charge. If you don't take charge, you'll be taken charge of. Like, we all don't like to be governed, but we all need to be governed because we refuse to take charge in a healthy way. Does that make sense? You refuse to take charge, therefore you need somebody to govern you. In fact, we get so lazy, we say, please govern me. I don't care. Please take my taxes. Please do whatever you want. Just make sure I'm safe, right? COVID, Remember that? Keep me alive. You can have all my rights. Taking no steps of action for yourself. No steps of action. So how are we going to bring order into our world? We're going to stop complaining, right? We're going to start understanding God literally designed us to bring order into this world. Okay? Stop being a baby about everything going on in your life. Stop being a crybaby. Take some action. You might take action, you might take the wrong step. But at least you did something God can bless, right? You might do something stupid if you try to bring order into your life. That's okay. It's better than doing nothing, isn't it? Isn't it? I think it is. I think it is. Anytime I see anybody giving any effort to their recovery, I'm going to help them with everything I can. But if I see that they're not really actually trying to do anything for their recovery, why would I contribute? Why would I step in and miraculously heal you? No, I'm not going to do that. See, as messed up as this world is, we're supposed to be the salt. And so therefore, when God says to bring order into this earth, what he's saying is you walk around, you see a problem, you take care of it. See, another question that really has messed with me is, why did Jesus heal people? Did you ever wonder that? Because it's really a temporary situation. Because all the people he healed are dead, right? They're gone, and we're still sick. So why was Jesus walking around healing people? I truly believe it's because Christ, being God, the very God that created the universe and brought order into chaos, when he saw someone sick, there's a problem. So he brought order into their life. I honestly think it was a byproduct of his existence. Honestly. Because did the miracles actually cause people to believe more? I don't think so. I don't think so. He says, you wicked generation, you just want signs. Right? You just want signs. I don't know that the healings caused people to actually love him. They just used him. And so, when Christ was walking through the streets, do you not think he stopped to pick up a piece of trash if he saw? There's a problem. Being a God of order, of course I'm assuming he would pick the trash up. He sees a sick man, he heals him, right? Where the great miracle was with Christ is the forgiveness, man. When he forgave Mary, the prostitute. He said, neither do I condemn you, now go and sin no more. That's why he came, isn't it? That's why he came, so that he can have fellowship with you and me. That's the purpose. But he showed us a great example of when we see sick people, help them. Right? When we see the poor, help them. When you see someone being abused, help them. When you see problems, fix them. It's like, oh Lord, should we go and help these people? Duh. Yes, you should help people. You shouldn't ask twice. You should help people. What I've noticed in my own life is when I take action, God meets me there. And if I'm taking the wrong action, because so many of us are so scared that I'll make the wrong move. If I make a move and I make the wrong move, what if I do the wrong thing? That's not how it works. That's really, I promise you, not how it works. The way it works is when you take action, if it's the wrong move, God's there. If it's the right move, God's there. If it's the wrong move, he'll put you where he wants you. He'll put your heart where he wants your heart. But when you just walk away from a situation because you're afraid, you'll never know what you should have done. You'll never know what could have been. You're never going to know. But what we have is just an earth full of lazy people that want to take absolutely no responsibility and take no action. So, if we do nothing, nothing happens. For instance, I'll give you an example. This right here, this. When we were going to various different churches with the ministry, like the program, and there was always this sort of weird feeling like, here comes Paul with those people. You know what I mean? Which you can't blame him. I mean, it's like, pull your kids in, you know what I mean? Like, come here, you don't go play today. You know what I mean? Right here. And you can't blame people, right? It's not like they know. It's not like and I'm not being mean to people. But church after church, there was a discomfort. There was a problem. And the one yearning I had in my heart was something that people have to get when they go through this program, they have to get it. This is so important for me, is that you understand what a healthy church is like, where you feel loved, where you feel welcome, where you can just be you, right? That was extremely important to me because I don't think that recovery is going to be very easy without a good fellowship. So once we give you an example of what good fellowship is, then you leave, you can use that to test and see, is this a good church for me or not, right? Does this church love me? Do they care for me? Anyway, that was my yearning desire. And so finally I said, we'll just start a church, right? We'll just start gathering together and just start a church. Because, I mean, how much energy does it take to sit in rows and preach? Of course, I didn't even start preaching. I didn't want anything to do with public speaking. It's not my thing. And had somebody else preach that. Anyway, that's not important. But what is important is, I remember the first time we met. We got together and did the service. And I was so shocked that God showed up, right? I was like, we had church and God showed up. Honestly, I was standing right over there and I was thinking, God is here. I'm like, what an idiotic thought, right? Why wouldn't he be here? But the truth is, what we were doing wasn't working. It wasn't good and healthy for you guys. It wasn't. So I said, let's do something. So we started the church. God showed up. Now, God didn't show up for the church before the church was started, now did he? No. It wasn't even this conversation, really, that I was having with God. It was just, there's a problem, here's a solution, let's go for it. If God shows up, great. If he closes the door, that's fine too. But at least we're going to do something about this, right? And here we are, years later. It's still here, right? God still shows up. And that's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. So, praying if you should make the world a better place is really not necessary. Well, you know, should I do this? Should I help people? Yeah, you should. You should do things. You know, everybody who contributed at this church service today, I want to thank you. You brought order to this world. This world is a better place because you showed up and sang, because the girls danced, because Elmer got up and managed the stage, because Wayne's sitting over there doing that, because the people who cooked, right? All of these things come together to make a church service, right? We are taking chaos and we're bringing order, and it works. Like, we didn't have to ask God, should we make chicken tonight? Of course we should make chicken tonight. Unless you have beef, right? And if you have beef, we're not going to pray about that either. We're just going to make it, right? We're not going to play around. If we have enough steaks, we're going to make enough steaks, right? But my point is, everybody that made this come together tonight didn't have to pray, Lord, should I do this? They just took action. If every person in this church would see problems and do things about them, wouldn't this church be amazing, right? Wouldn't this church be really powerful? People making coffee. Aren't you happy about people making coffee? Huh? We thank God for coffee and Jesus too, right? We thank God for Jesus primarily, but coffee, man, you have to have it, right? This church without coffee really kind of sucks, right? You know? It's the small things. I'll tell you one of my favorites. Ugh. Lou. Nobody here knows Lou, so I can harp on him. So Lou will come to my house, okay, to fix something. That's not why he's there. If Lou comes in the driveway, my wife starts walking towards the coffee maker to make him a coffee. It's true. It's true. My wife will literally do this number. I'm like, what is wrong with you? But she'll be like, oh, I'm going to make Lou's favorite dessert. He's going to be over this week. Oh, this is real. Oh, it's not only Lou. It's not Wayne, this guy. Yeah, that guy too. We have all these mooches showing up at our house, drinking coffees and eating Tilly's food. True story. You're not going to be there. Precisely. And she knows that, right? So if the coffee ever stops, she doesn't want you there. No, but this is one of my favorite examples because it's simple. It's simple. But it has a massive impact on the people she serves. A massive impact. You say, oh, it's just a cup of coffee and a dessert. Yeah, but sure as heck wouldn't be nearly as good of a day if I wouldn't have had that, right? You sit down with a cup of coffee, and of course, Tilly gleans all the gossip from Lou, which is happening. It's real. Okay? I don't know what Lou's situation is at home, but he'll come over for coffee. We need to pray for Sam. I'm just saying. I'm not sure what's going on at home, but he comes over and gets desserts and coffees. And then hangs up a picture. Okay. But it's one of my favorites because it is something that seems small, but it changes the world. Right? A simple thought of thinking of someone else. A simple thought of understanding that, oh God, oh, Wayne just came home from a work trip. He's probably tired and hungry. We should make him his favorite, right? Yeah, okay, I'm going to make this special dinner for Wayne, which changes Wayne's world. Right? But anyway, that's what it's like at my house. And it's a better world because of that. What are you contributing? What are you doing for the world you live in? How are you making it a better place? How are you making it warm and welcoming? God created the earth, and then he said something really cool. He said, subdue it. I want you to subdue it. You know what that word means? I have it here. I did have it here. I had the actual meaning. I had it right here. I swear I did. Well, doesn't matter. To subdue it is to take charge of it, to manage it, to make it better. God puts us on this earth and says, here, make it better. You don't have to ask me if you want to cut a tree down and make a piece of furniture. You don't have to ask me if you want to put a fence up and put some cattle in. You don't have to ask me if you should love someone today. You don't have to ask me if you want to be good to someone, help them, heal them. You don't have to ask me. Look for problems, find solutions, and make this world a better place. So anyway, we take action to do this. It takes anger to do this. It takes a lot of anger. And it takes invitation. And the anger is the key component to making this world a better place. It really is. You know, there's things that should make you very angry. There's things that are really bad in this world. There's things that, you know, in your own heart, in your own life, that until you get angry about it, it's not going to change. Until we get angry about things in this world, they will not change. It takes a righteous anger to bring healthiness into this world, to bring good things into this world. Right? It takes this deep, compassionate heart, which is a heart that's prone to anger, a righteous anger. I know most churches are going to tell you, don't be angry, don't be angry, just be a good Christian and never get angry. The worst thing we could do is never get angry. Best thing you could do is to understand how to take anger and turn it into focus. Because it is people that look at problems and say, I've had enough of that crap. That's the third person I've seen starving today. That's the third person I've seen suffering today on the street. That's the third person. I'm tired of it. This is enough. This is enough. I'm going to take action. I'm going to do something. I'm going to go buy them food. I'm going to get them to a rehab. I'm going to do something, right? We don't have to pray about that. We just do it. We just do it. And so, I really think that's why Jesus healed people. Just imagine how he was moved with compassion as he saw people struggling. Imagine how he's moved with compassion when he looks at your marriage, your family, your heart. Imagine how God is moved with compassion there. And I think really he's just waiting on you to take a step. And his blessing can flow. You can't bless something you're not doing, right? Can't bless something you're not doing. And so, what we're going to have to do is invite Christ into that picture. Of course, we don't need to pray about doing the right thing. What we do need to pray, though, is that God comes in, gives us his heart for others, gives us his eyes, his ears, gives us his senses. We need God to show up and help us to see this world the way he sees it. And when we do, we're going to start acting like he did when he was on this earth. We're going to start being like him. We do need him to help in that sense. We need to ask him for inspiration. God gave you thoughts. And I know it's dangerous to say this, but God gave you thoughts. There's so many people who have ideas, but they never actually do anything about them because of fear. Do you think God made you a person that is able to think, to entertain you? Or do you think that God has put thoughts in your mind, inspiration in your heart to do things, and he's just waiting on you to take a step? I know that's dangerous to say, but it's true. I see so many people have so much promise, but they never do anything. Never do anything, and they just don't understand why God doesn't show up and blow their minds with some kind of a miracle. Well, do something. That's a big problem in this world. It's people who really believe in order that really do something in life. That's the people that succeed. That's the people you're jealous of. It's the people that actually take action. All those people you hate and can't stand. That's why you can't stand them, because you're not willing to do what they're willing to do. And I've noticed that people that take chances in life, really, this is something that's true. I've noticed that people who take chances in life tend to be way closer to God. Right? They tend to have a relationship and an understanding of God that others don't. Because they've learned how to suffer. They've learned how to take chances. They've learned how to, they found something worthwhile suffering for. Right? They found something worthwhile. And in doing so, they're rubbing shoulders with God himself, because he's just waiting on somebody to take this opportunity that's just there waiting. An entrepreneur is just a person that takes action when they have an idea. It's not really that, the whole name entrepreneur is really stupid, in my opinion. I'm an entrepreneur. Probably not. You took some classes and you started a coffee shop, whatever. Okay. I'm just saying, real entrepreneurs, they see the market and they say, hey, I could build this. I'm going to build this. And then people start buying it, right? I started a church and God showed up. Like, somebody had to take action somewhere. But then you who don't take action, you're just jealous and hate them for it. So, and in the end, as much chaos as there is, there's not enough of us to bring order. And in that case, there is a place where we do have to run. We do have to hide sometimes, and that is in Christ. There's times where this chaotic world gets to us. We're not going to be perfect in this process, but I do want to just propel somebody tonight to take action in their journey. Take action. you know what's on your heart. The Holy Spirit is showing you what is on your heart that you need to actually do. Now do it. Do it. Ask questions later. And I know that's not popular. Oh, you need a 5-year plan and you need to do this. No, take action. Take action. If it's the wrong action, God will direct you to the right one. If you take no action, God can't direct you anywhere. Does that make sense? So do it. And when all else fails, when you mess up, when you can't take the chaos, you run and hide in your Savior. That's what we do. We have a safe place to hide. We don't have to deal with the chaos in our life the way we are. We don't have to take it on the chest. Instead, we can take action, and when there's nothing left we can do, we can run to our Savior. And I guarantee you do those two things, you're going to have a very fulfilling life. You're going to have a happy life. You're going to actually help people. You're going to gain relationships. You're going to feel very close to God. Right? I just think, and the reason this sermon burdens me is because of this. I'll tell you, everybody wants to super spiritualize everything. Everybody wants to just sit here and preach, you got to wait on a vision, you got to wait on this, you got to pray this out, and it's all spiritual. And God gave us a physical world that we live in. God gave us a physical body. He gave us a physical world. And we don't talk about that in church, do we? We don't talk about the fact that God has made us and made a common law over us and said, subdue the earth, do these things, right? And so just do them. Like, stop asking questions. Do them. And sometimes we need to not hyper-spiritualize things. Sometimes a cup of coffee is what we need, right? Sometimes a pastry is literally what this world needs. Right? It doesn't always need this massive revival with hundreds of thousands of people in a field. Sometimes it just needs a coffee. Right? It's true. It's true. So, but not 2 men in a coffee shop. Good God, people. You're sick. It's just weird, really. Let me pray for you. Dear Lord, I pray that you would help us to